Bruce, you must have something really good too.
Of course I do. It's Bruce Danielson, and I guess I'm here to entertain you too.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Monday, January 31, Sioux Falls City Council meeting. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll go ahead and get started by reading our roll call, please.
Councilmember Sale.
Here.
Starr. Here. Brecky. Here. Erickson. Jensen.
Here.
Kylie.
Here.
Neitzer.
Here.
Selberg.
Here.
All right, back with us tonight to give our invocation is Jeff Svenis with the Direct Line Prayer Center. So we'd ask that you rise for Jeff's invocation and stay standing for our Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to be together in the beautiful city of Sioux Falls. We invite your presence to be here, that you would surround us and give wisdom and guidance to the leaders as they go over very many important items tonight. We pray that you'd bless each council person and our mayor. They're dedicating so much time. They could be doing other things, and they spend a lot of time working out details and just working on behalf of the citizens of Sioux Falls. We just pray that you'd bless them enormously and bless their families. We just really appreciate and don't take lightly all the extra work and competition for their time. Lord, we also pray that you would bless the city, that as decisions are made, it would continue to go forward. It's going in such a great direction, and we thank you for their leadership and for their wisdom, and we pray that you'd continue to allow the city to grow and do well. We also pray that you would favor this city with your blessing and your love, and that you'd help us citizens to show our love more towards each other and help this city become even greater. Again, we thank you for this opportunity and pray that you'd bless this meeting. In your name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Councilor Sale, you want to meet me up front for a special award we have tonight?
Thank you, Nicole. Could we have you come up, please? As you know, occasionally we give out the Superhero Award, and that's something that the council votes on, and so this nomination came to us very recently. Nicole, I'm going to apologize right now, I might not get your name right. Nicole Bissell Havdestedt. I got it close. We're just going to call her Nicole. Now I'm going to read the proclamation. It's hard to string words together to accurately and fully describe Nicole and her willingness to go above and beyond for others. Nicole is the youth sports director at the Sioux Falls YMCA, but that doesn't adequately sum up everything she does. Nicole coordinates volunteer coaches, all sports registrations, rostering, scheduling, and she sends summers providing support in the camp office at Camp Leif Erikson. The Youth Sports program unapologetically demands long work days that often turn into nights and weekends, and without fail, Nicole always gets the job done. She is an irreplaceable member of the team. Nicole has an uncommon passion for sports, not focusing on one sport, but seeing the value in all athletic opportunities. While basketball takes up the majority of her time and efforts at the Y, she also quickly learned the ins and the outs of lacrosse in a recent merge with Sioux Falls Lacrosse, and is a high school and college soccer referee in her spare time. Nicole understands how crucial it is for children to have the sense of belonging and to learn to be a good team member. This understanding drives her to always go above and beyond to make sure children in our community have the opportunity to simply play the game and be part of the team, regardless of the situation. The last couple of years have been particularly challenged in the youth basketball world, from shipping issues that delay uniforms to gym and staff shortages to countless game reschedules due to COVID. Nicole spends countless hours deciding over what is the best for the program and its participants. Her ability to take these challenges in stride and keep moving forward is inspiring. Nicole is incredibly humble, preferring to stay behind the scenes and often passing well-deserved credit and gratitude on her few support staff. Tonight, however, we recognize Nicole's servant heart and going above and beyond for our youth. A clear illustration of what it means to be a superhero in our community. Congratulations, Nicole.
Yeah, exactly. You look good though. You never hear that in the pictures.
All right, thank you, Counselor Sale, for that great presentation. Nicole, congratulations. Yeah, sounds like you don't like to be recognized, so sorry about that. Thanks for your work in our community. We'll move on then with next agenda item. That's our consent agenda. Any items to be pulled there?
Move approval, Nitzert.
Second, Sale.
All right, motion by Nitzert, seconded by Sale to approve our consent agenda. Any discussion there? All right, let's take a vote on that, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
All right, that item's going to pass 8-0. Next item to vote on would be our regular agenda, item 18. Look for a motion on that, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I would move to change tonight's meeting from a regular meeting to labeled as a special meeting of the council.
Second, Brecky.
Okay. Motion by Counselor Starr, seconded by Counselor Brecky. Go ahead, Counselor Starr.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to give the city clerk an opportunity to explain why we're having a February meeting during January, and so that it's not whether it's a special meeting or whether it's kind of semantics, but there are differences in the charter. So if he wants to describe why we're meeting this way, that would be awesome, please.
Yes, Counselor, you cannot call a special meeting right now because we need to provide 24 hours notice. The city charter does require one regular meeting per month, and it allows the council by rule to establish more as needed. They've done that through ordinance, and they set the first, second, and third Tuesday of the month as city council meeting dates, with the provision that the council may change any meeting date. That was done for this particular meeting. Historically, at least since 2015, the council has moved the first meeting in Tuesday up one day to Monday. In this case, it was January 31st. The last time February 1st fell on a Tuesday was 2011. So we obviously haven't been in this situation, but there's no restriction on the number of meetings that could be had in a month. Presumably, we can, not presumably, but by ordinance, we can move a meeting to any day that we want. The alternative in this case was to move it to, say, Wednesday, but we still have counselors out of town. The other alternative was to move it to next week to coincide with next week's meeting, which would effectively cancel this one, and it's not good for the public. So we get to move any meeting. The council can move any meeting. There's no restriction on the number of meetings per month. There's no requirement to have 3 meetings per month. You have to have at least 1 meeting per month. So the regular meeting is the first Tuesday of the month, and so for February, that would be the 8th. And from a practical standpoint, that addresses really counselor attendance and some other things in Robert's rules, but we are not restricted from having a meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. So just to clarify, the motion that's on the table is not allowable. Because we can't call a special meeting without.
That would be up to the counselor to withdraw, but I would advise that we not call a special meeting because then we would delay it till tomorrow night.
Right.
Or a future time.
Counselor Jensen?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just urge my fellow counselors to either deny this motion or to have the lead sponsor withdraw his motion and we get on with the night. Thank you very much.
All right, Counselor Starr, do you want to have us vote on this?
Well, I guess from a parliamentary procedure, I think we have to. Once it's been made and seconded, it belongs to the body. It doesn't belong to the sponsor anymore.
Okay.
Unless you overrule that it's out of order.
a correction, and that was stated once before. You are allowed to withdraw it as long as there's no objection from the council.
Just a couple of
Go
quick
ahead.
questions for the city clerk. Would it make more sense for us, I agree that you can't call a special meeting, but there have been some issues raised about this meeting, and I was just wondering if it makes more sense to actually, just move these agenda items to the February 8th meeting.
Counselor, I don't, and I would defer to the city attorney. We have looked into this. I do not think there's an issue with this tonight. As a matter of fact, there's more notice provided with this meeting than there would have been had we called a special meeting to have this meeting, because we didn't know what all the agenda items were until Friday. So I would urge you to stick with the meeting. We've moved meetings up to Monday, albeit the same month, 15 times since 2011. We've moved meetings to Wednesdays. We've canceled meetings. We're providing the public with this duly noticed meeting. It was discussed at the meeting of the 18th of January when we set a date of hearing for the 31st.
And you don't see a problem of it falling into a different month because we've already had the regular meeting at the beginning
I
of the
don't
month?
see a problem at all. There's no restriction on when you can move a meeting day two. We could have taken tomorrow's meeting and moved it to July.
All right, any public input before we vote on this?
To the law
State
here,
your
public
name.
input, Sarah Broussard. I want to advise y'all because I'm the law. I want to advise y'all that you need to go and be very careful on what Pastor said, because it can fall into some open meeting violations. And I'll send some more over to the city attorney's office. Janet, she was an attorney for the city attorney's office. And I'm hesitant right now to see how this is going to play. But if it doesn't go the way it's supposed to be planned, then we can see another open meetings violation that I will be presenting to the state attorney's office of Minnehaha County. I would advise all of you, because my adrenaline is pumping, because y'all should know as professionals and not start people in the wrong direction. Y'all should know the law, right? Because at public input, we're going to get to the violations. I'm warning you, and I'm warning the state attorney's office now, because I'm going to put my foot and the brakes on it. Janet and Pat, do what is right. But if we continue with this meeting, we will have an open meetings violation again, Mr. Mayor, and the state attorney will address it and look at it accordingly.
Anyone else to speak on this? All right. Counselor, you want to withdraw this then, or you want to vote on it?
Let's vote.
Okay, let's take a vote on this, please.
Councilmember Sale,
No.
Starr,
No.
Brecky,
No.
Erickson,
No.
Jensen,
No.
Kylie,
No.
Nitzert,
No.
Selberg.
No.
All right, fails 0-8. Look for a motion to approve our regular agenda.
So moved.
Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Nitzert, seconded by Jensen. Any discussion there?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Counselor.
I'll make a motion to amend by placing item 51 immediately after item 45.
Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Nitzert, seconded by Jensen. Let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
All right, passes 8-0. Back to the main motion as amended. Any other amendments here? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
All right, passes 8-0. Before we continue on, just want to remind everyone, comments for public input are 3 minutes per item, unless it's final adoption, and we'll have 5 minutes per item. And general public input at the end of the meeting is 3 minutes per person, and the items we didn't cover earlier. So with that, we'll move on to our next item.
Item 19 is a new 2022 retail liquor license for Commonwealth Gaming and Holdings North Star Bar and Casino, 4305 West 61st Street North, full-service restaurant, CUP not required. Item 20 is a request to add video lottery terminals with the new 2022 retail liquor license for Commonwealth Gaming and Holdings, North Star Bar and Casino, 4305 West 61st Street North. Item 21 is a transfer of a 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota Farm wine license, including video lottery terminals, and transfer of 2022 retail wine and cider license from Nelson Operating Company, North Star Bar and Grill, 4305 West 61st Street North, to Commonwealth Gaming and Holdings, North Star Bar and Casino II, 4305 West 61st Street North, Suite A. Item 22 is the new 2022 retail wine and cider license for Crown Gaming Incorporated, Crown Casino Central, 1725 South Minnesota Avenue. Item 23 is a new 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota Farm wine license and new 2022 retail wine and cider license for SRS Incorporated Spade Connections, 8509 West 26th Street, Suite 100, with conditional use permit 14595-2021 being approved on December 1st, 2021. Item 24 is a request to add video lottery terminals with the new 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota Farm wine license for SRS Incorporated Spade Connections, 8509 West 26th Street, Suite 100. Item 25 is a new 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota Farm wine license and new 2022 retail wine and cider license for SRS Incorporated, Heart Connections, 8509 West 26th Street, with conditional use permit 15495-2021 being approved on December 1st, 2021. Item 26 is request to add video lottery terminals with the new 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota Farm wine license for SRS Incorporated, Heart Connections, 8509 West 26th Street. Item 27 is the new 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota Farm wine license for Cellar 54 LLC, Cellar 54, 720 South Highland Place, CUP not required. Item 28 is new 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota Farm wine license and new 2022 retail wine and cider license for Oak and Olive LLC, Roots of Brazil, 201 North Weber Avenue, Suite 1, CUP not required. Item 29 is a new 2022 package liquor license for Lewis Drug Incorporated, Lewis Drug number 17, 700 East 54th Street North, CUP not required. Item 30 is a new 2022 package liquor license for Lewis Drug Incorporated, Lewis Drug number 18, 2701 South Minnesota Avenue, CUP not required. Item 31 is transfer of 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota Farm wine license, including video lottery terminals from SRS Incorporated, Lucky Cruisers, 2101 West 41st Street, Suite 101, to Access Entertainment Group LLC, Lucky Cruisers, 2101 West 41st Street, Suite 101. Item 32 is a transfer of a 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota Farm wine license, including video lottery terminals, and transfer of 2022 retail wine and cider license from SRS Incorporated East Connections, 3233 South Sycamore Avenue, to Access Entertainment Group LLC, East Connections, 3233 South Sycamore Avenue. 33 is a transfer of 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota Farm wine license, including video lottery terminals from SRS Incorporated, Connection South, 6809 South Louise Avenue, to Access Entertainment Group LLC, Connection South, 6809 South Louise Avenue. Item 34 is transfer of 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota Farm wine license, including video lottery terminals from SRS Incorporated Connections Plus, 5415 West 54th Street, to Access Entertainment Group LLC, Connections Plus, 5415 West 41st Street. Item 35 is transfer of 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota Farm wine license, including video lottery terminals from SRS Incorporated Connections, 5409 West 41st Street, to Access Entertainment Group LLC, Connections, 5409 West 41st Street.
Good evening, Jamie.
Good evening, Jamie Palmer with Licensing. I'm here to answer any questions that you have for items 19 through 35. And just for interest, I'd like to point out that item 19 is the first of the new liquor licenses that were allotted to the city with the 2020 census number. So,
All right, thanks, Jamie. Anyone from the public here to speak on any of these items? Councilors, got any questions for Jamie on these? Look for a motion to approve them.
So move.
Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Sale, seconded by Jensen. Any discussion there? All right, let's vote on them, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
All right, that's going to pass 8-0. Next item.
Next item is 36, second reading, deferred from the meeting of Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota rezoning property located at 3801 South Elmwood Avenue from the C3 Commercial Community District to the RA3 Apartment Residential High Density District, number 15507-2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 6-0. Private applicants, Bob Natz.
Hey, Jason.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Jason Bieber with Planning and Development Services. The applicant is requesting a deferral of this once again to the March 1st City Council meeting. With the rising cost of construction materials, they need a little bit more time just to make sure that their project's going to be viable.
All right, thanks, Jason. Anyone from the public want to speak on this one? All right, councilors, look for a motion to defer to Tuesday, March 1.
So move, Jensen.
Second, Sale.
All right, motion by Jensen, seconded by Sale. Any discussion there? Let's vote on that motion to defer, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. Next item.
Item 37 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota rezoning property located at 7201 South Minnesota Avenue from the C3 Commercial Community District to the O Office District number 15535, 2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 4-0. Private applicants, Sayer Associates, Tyson Haas.
The applicant here is Sarah Associate. The owner is Justin Scogan. It's located north of West 81st Street and west of South Minnesota Avenue, the old Landscape Garden Center site. It's about 1.41 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is the applicant's looking at constructing an office building in that northwest corner of the property.
All right, anyone from the public here to speak on this item tonight? Council, any questions for Jason here? All right, look for a motion to approve.
So move, Jensen.
Second, Sale.
Motion by Jensen, seconded by Sale. Any discussion here? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. Next item.
Item 38 is the second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota rezoning property located northeast of the intersection of East 6th Street and Veterans Parkway from the C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar District to the RS Single Family Residential Suburban and the CN Conservation Districts, number 15627-2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 4-0. Private applicants, Mystic Creek LLC, Preston Metler.
The applicant and owner here is Preston Metler. It's located north of East 6th Street and east of North Veterans Parkway. It's about 1.2 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is they're looking to continue to construct a single-family residential neighborhood in the development.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone from the public here to speak on this one? Councilors, any questions on this? Look for a motion, please.
Move
Move
approval.
approval. Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Sale, seconded by Jensen. Any discussion here? All right, let's vote on that one, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
That's going to pass 8-0. Next item, please.
Item 39 is the second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota rezoning a portion of the property located at 7300 East 41st Street from the RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density District to the RS Single Family Residential Suburban and RD1 Twin Home Duplex Residential Suburban Districts, number 15634, 2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 4-0. Private applicants, Schmitz Calden Associates Incorporated, Kim Buell.
The applicant and owner here is Ronning Companies. It's located north of East 41st Street and west of South 6 Mile Road. It's about 5.7 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is they're looking to construct a single-family and twin-home residential development.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone from the public here to speak on this one? Councilors, you got any questions on item 39? Look for a motion, please.
Move approval. Nitzert.
Second, Sale.
All right, motion by Nitzert, seconded by Sale. Any discussion here, council? Let's vote on it, please.
Councilmember Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. Next item.
Item 40 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located south of East 57th Street and east and west of South Rateliff Avenue from the C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar and LW Live Work Districts to the C3 Commercial Community and C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar Districts, number 15655, 2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The planning company recommends approval 4-0. Private applicants, Van Buskirk Companies, Ryan Tisdall.
The applicant here is Ryan Tisdall. The owner is Brady Hyde. It's located south of East 57th Street and west of South Veterans Parkway. It's about 6.73 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is the applicant's looking to construct some retail development along 57th Street.
All right, anyone from the public here to speak on this one tonight? Councilors, do you have any questions for Jason here? All right, look for a motion to approve this item then.
So moved. Nitzert.
Second, Sale.
All right, motion by Nitzert, seconded by Sale. Any discussion there? All right, hearing none, let's vote on that one, please.
Councilmember Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
All right, that's going to pass 8-0. Before we read item 41, I'm going to give Councilor Erickson the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I need to recuse myself on this next item.
All right.
I own property next to it. Thank you.
You are recused from this item, and we'll read that one into the record, please.
Item 41 is the second reading. An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 736 South First Avenue from the RT1 Single Family Residential Traditional District to the RT2 Townhome Residential Traditional District, number 15656, 2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 4-0. Private applicants, Aaron George Properties, LLC, Aaron George.
The applicant and owner here is Aaron George. It's located at 736 South First Avenue. It's about 0.17 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is to match the correct zoning with the current use of the property. It's been a 4-unit converted house for some time.
Thank you, Jason. Anyone from the public here to speak on this one tonight? Council, any questions here?
Move approval, Sale.
Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Sale and seconded by Jensen to approve item 41 here. Any discussion? All right, we'll vote on that, please.
Councilmember Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. We'll give Councilor Erickson a second to join us again, and we'll move on then to item 42.
Item 42 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 5211 and 5217 North Healy Lane from the C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar District to the I-1 Light Industrial District, number 15686, 2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 4-0. Private applicants, Sterling Real Estate Trust, Mason Cosin.
The applicant and owner is Sterling Real Estate Trust. It's located south of I-90 and west of North Cliff Avenue. It's about 2.4 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is to construct a future industrial building on the properties.
All right, thanks, Jason. Anyone from the public here to speak on 42? Council, got any questions on this one tonight? All right, look for a motion, please.
Move approval, Jensen.
Second, Sale.
Motion by Jensen, seconded by Councilor Sale. Any discussion there? All right, let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Felberg.
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. Next item, please.
Item 43 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 2215 North Westport Avenue from the C4 Commercial Regional District to the I-1 Light Industrial District, number 15687, 2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 4-0. The private applicants are Natdemand LLC, Bradley Halverson.
The applicant is Bradley Halverson. The owner is Donald Graham. It's located at 2215 North Westport Avenue. It's about 3.2 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is the applicant's looking to construct an office and contractor shop on the property.
All right, thank you, Jason. Anyone from the public here to speak on this one tonight? Any questions here, council?
Move approval, Sale.
Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Sale, seconded by Jensen. Any discussion on that motion? All right, let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Felberg.
Yes.
That passes 8-0. Next item.
Item 44 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located southwest of the intersection of East 57th Street and South Dubuque Avenue from the RD2 Townhome Residential Suburban District to the LW Live Work District, number 15735, 2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 4-0. Private applicants, Van Buskirk Companies, Ryan Tisdall.
The applicant here is Ryan Tisdale. The owner is Brady Hyde. It's located at the southwest corner of East 57th Street and South Dubuque Avenue. It's about 0.32 acres in size. Purpose of this is to develop some future office buildings.
All right, anyone from the public here to speak on this one tonight? Council, you got any questions here?
Move approval, Jensen.
Second, Sale.
All right, motion by Jensen and seconded by Councilor Sale to approve this one. Any discussion there? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Felberg.
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. Next item.
Item 45 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located south of West 41st Street and west of South Ellis Road from the AG Agricultural District to the RS Single Family Residential Suburban, RD1 Twin Home Duplex Residential Suburban, RD2 Townhome Residential Suburban, and RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density Districts number 15101, 2021, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0. Private applicants, 41 Ellis LLC, Brady Hyde.
The applicant and owner here is Brady Hyde. It's located south of West 41st Street and west of South Ellis Road. It's about 44 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is to construct a single and multifamily residential development.
All right, anyone from the public here to speak on this one tonight? Council, you have any questions for Jason on this item? All right, look for a motion, please.
Move approval, Nitzert.
Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Nitzert, seconded by Councilor Jensen. Any discussion there?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Sale, go ahead.
I'd just like to say I'm happy to see this back in front of us after the original plan through a little consternation, so it's good to see it back.
All right, any other discussion here? Let's vote on it, please.
Councilmember Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. Next item, please.
Item 51, moved by amendment, is a resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving the preliminary plan of 41 Ellis Edition 15671, 2021. The Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0. Private applicants, Design and Develop Engineering LLC, David Gibbon.
This is a preliminary subdivision plan that goes along with the rezoning we just heard. The applicant and owner is Brady Hyde. It's about 44 acres in size. As Councilmember Sale just touched on it a little bit, this came before you in November. This was the original plan that showed the collector street all on Brady's property. There were some concerns from the property owner to the west. So this is the current preliminary subdivision plan that does show that collector street going down the quarter-mile section line.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone from the public here to speak on this one tonight? Counselors, any questions on item 51?
Move approval, Sale.
Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Sale, seconded by Jensen to approve 51. Any discussion there? Let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
That passes 8-0. Item 46, please.
Item 46 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by updating permit and inspection fee exemptions to include Veterans Community Project. Sponsors are Council Members Sale and Kylie.
Counselor Kylie or Sale, who's going to speak to this guy?
I can speak to it,
Yeah.
as we discussed at our last meeting. This goes along with some of the fees that we waive for other nonprofits, like Habitat for Humanity, and this will go towards the Veterans Community Project that we're also in favor of. So any further questions, we'll have to pass it off to Director Eichhoff.
All right, sounds good. Anyone from the public here to speak on item 46 tonight? All right, Council, you got any questions for Jeff or for either of the sponsors? All right, look for a motion to
Move
approve.
approval?
Second, Brecky.
All right, motion by Sale, second by Brecky to approve this item. Any discussion? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Kylie,
Yes.
Nitzert,
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. Item 47.
Item 47 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving offer to purchase real estate from city. Sponsor is the mayor.
Good evening, Don.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, Don Kearney with Parks and Rec. As a reminder, this item was really triggered by Deffenbaugh's Homes' interest in a piece of property that we own along the Big Sioux River. It's a narrow strip of land adjacent to the Crown at Arbor's Edge development. The sale would allow the residential lots to extend down to the Big Sioux River. And this property is a portion of a larger parcel that was acquired back in 2011 for further developing the Arboretum. The property, as it sits, is really not accessible because of the severe grades. A lot of it happens to be underwater. The land in question is not part of the Arboretum Master Plan due to those factors. The City Attorney's Office has looked into it and has determined that the land is not park property. The land is being sold per state law, very similar to what we used when we sold the former Ice and Recreation Center property. We did have the appraisal completed on the property on October 7th. The value for the 2.67 acres is $47,000. The Crown at Arbor's Edge LLC has agreed to pay the appraised value and all the closing costs. And then, subject to the sale, the property would be replatted following closing. Our recommendation is to sell the property primarily because it really doesn't have any use to the city and access is very difficult. We would not have to maintain it going forward. And really, we think the property is best suited to be assembled with the existing lots that back up to it. That will receive the appraised value for the property and it'll go back on the tax rolls. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right, thanks, Don. Anyone from the public here to speak on 47? Council, do you have any questions for Don on this item tonight?
Move approval, Sale.
Second, Brecky.
All right, motion by Sale, seconded by Brecky. Any discussion, Council, on 47? All right, let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. Item 48, please.
Item 48 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 32, City Organizations, Subchapter Arena Convention Entertainment Board. Recommendation set a date of second reading for Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. Sponsor is the mayor.
Hey, Sean.
Council Mayor, Sean Pritchard, Director of Finance. The first reading of the ordinance revised and renamed the previous Arena Convention Center and Entertainment Center Board to the Event Center Complex Advisory Board. This is part of an overall review process that we had for the board and its ordinance to ensure that it remains relevant and fulfills an important or strategic objective for the city. We did cover this during the informational last week, so I'll be very brief and provide summary comments. Over the last several months, we worked with this board to decide what the future roles and responsibilities, if any, should be for this board. The convention center and that campus has evolved greatly over time, but the board and the ordinance that sets their duties, objectives, memberships, terms has not evolved overall since all of those changes have occurred. Ultimately agreed that there is a role for this advisory board going forward, but that it should be more strategic and less operationally focused, especially with the advent of professional third-party management we currently have at the event center complex. Key changes, again, related to this board, aside from a name change, it would increase the number of members from 7 to 11. It would cover 6 members, would cover 5 professional experience areas that we think will be important to the board going forward. 5 will be elected or appointed at large. 4 permanent ex officio members, which will include 2 city representatives, 1 from finance, 1 from planning, the ASM Global General Manager, or the General Manager for the facility at the time, and the Chief Executive Officer for Experience Sioux Falls. We reduced terms from 5 to 3 years, clarified that they can serve 2 full consecutive terms. We required quarterly meetings instead of monthly. However, the board has the right to meet more regularly as set by their schedule, and we do expect that to occur, particularly over the next several years. And then finally, the duties changed and being elevated to be more strategic with a primary role to walk alongside the city as we go through the master planning process that we expect over the next several years for the Event Center campus. Since this will be a less operationally functional board in terms of what their roles and responsibilities will be, this board was previously administered in great part by our third party, ASM Global, so we will likely move that with a change of responsibilities back to the city, and the city staff will take over administration of the board going forward. With that, if you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone from the public here to speak on item 48 tonight? All right, council, you have any questions for Sean on this item? All right, I look for a motion to send it to a second reading on Tuesday, February 8th.
So move, Jensen.
Second, Sale.
All right, motion by Jensen, seconded by Sale. Any discussion on that motion? All right, let's take a vote on that, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
All right, passes 8-0. Item 49, please.
Item 49 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota approving corrected permanent easements. Recommendation set a date of second reading for Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. Sponsor is the mayor.
Hey, Dustin.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Dustin Powers with Planning and Development Services. In July of last year, the City Council approved a number of easements that were associated with the Steel District developments that would allow the construction of roads, parking, and emergency access to the development of the Steel District, as well as improve the future public access to the future Phase 3 of the River Greenway improvements. Since the time of the approvals in July, Lloyd Companies has closed on the property, subdivided the property to represent the development, and created a number of subsidiaries that would be the new ownership for those new parcels created by the subdivision. As a result, in order to accurately reflect the changes to the easements, we need to update the legal descriptions of the benefit properties that were granted to in the previous approved easements, as well as the grantees. So this ordinance amends those existing easements that were approved and it would allow us to record those accurately. No other changes to what would be allowed in the easement areas is being proposed at the time. The Park Board did review these changes on January 19th and did recommend approval to the City Council. So tonight we're asking you to set a date of second reading on February 8th.
All right, thanks, Dustin. Anyone from the public here to speak on this one tonight? Council, any questions for Mr. Powers here? All right, look for a motion to set a date of second reading for Tuesday, February 8th.
So moved, Sale.
Second, Brecky.
Okay, motion by Counselor Sales, seconded by Brecky. Any discussion, council? All right, let's vote on that one, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
That passes 8-0. Item 50.
Item 50 is a first reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, authorizing a refund of municipal property taxes on the principal residence of eligible elderly and disabled persons. Recommendation, set a date of second reading for Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. Sponsors, Councilmembers Sale and Starr.
Counselor Sale? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's time we unveil the long-anticipated affordable home ownership for seniors and disabled people. This has been over a year in incubation that we've been working on this, and we're finally ready. Just a few points that I'm going to make. As you can see in the PowerPoint, it talks about 90% of the seniors prefer to remain in their homes. We know that. In 1989, the percentage of homeowners carrying mortgage when you're 65 to 70 has doubled. And today in South Dakota, 29% of disabled persons experience housing cost burden versus 16%. And a housing cost burden is considered when you have over 30% of your income going towards housing. So what we've tried to do is to dovetail on top of the property tax freeze that the state has. And through discussion, we feel it's the best thing for the city to do at this time is to give those people that qualify up to $500 of their property tax back from the city. One of the things as a council member sits through the Board of Equalization and you listen to people talk about their taxes, those hardest hit are those people that cannot afford it. So we've dovetailed along with the state's requirements, as you might see on the board right there. 65 is pretty easy. That's a senior. I'm not there yet. And disabled is qualified by the Social Security Act. You must own a single family home. Market value is not to exceed $208,828. And your income limits has been set by the state of a single person of $30,423 or multiple people at $38,029. Now the state has realized that these things needed to be adjusted for inflation, and House Bill 1001 will increase those limits. It's passed from committee, but yet has not passed out. So of the full council and been signed by the governor. So our bill, our legislation might have to be adopted next year after this is passed. So the property owner cannot be delinquent in their property tax for the preceding year. And city residents enrolled in the assessment freeze program is approximately 443. Now we've worked very closely. I will say Jim David and Sean Pritchard have worked very closely with the two counties associated. And I'll say they've been very, very cooperative to make the process as easy as possible. So as we move on to my last slide, and I know you all appreciate that. They must make an application to the state, and it's qualified by the county. They're the ones that does the research. So we will do our refund will be equal to their property tax, but not over $500. And the city council must renew the program each year by a resolution and make an appropriation. And we put that in there just in case there happens to be a time in the future where things are very, very, very tight. And I don't personally want to be the one to ask anybody to take a pay cut unless we ask everybody to chip something in. So every year we will be asked to renew this. So if approved, the first payment will be issued on or before March 31st. And that's going to be done by a check and not the ACH, so that people really actually realize that their city council and the mayor and the administration really care for those people that are out there. So this is the first reading, and if we go on, approve tonight to go to the second reading, a few of the things that are going to go along with that is that we will come up with a resolution for the appropriation of the funds. Since this has not been in ordinance, we didn't appropriate the funds last year. We've talked about it for a whole year, but we haven't appropriated the funds. So 1 and 2 would go together. If the first reading passed, I'm going to recommend February 15th for the second reading. Then next week on the 8th, the finance director will come with the appropriations, and then on the 15th, we can vote on them all together. Now, if that makes sense to you, great. If it doesn't, please ask me any questions.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone from the public here to speak on first reading, item 50 here? All right, come on up, man. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Chad Bishop. I live at 7405 South Valencia Drive here in Sioux Falls. No written statement on this one. So I like the idea. It's a great step in the right direction. People who have paid taxes their entire lives, especially if they're on fixed income and are in the lower income brackets, $500, an excellent gesture. Just refund it all. Give it all back to them. Let them actually own their home for the first time in their lives. Why don't we figure out what the number of homes that would be subject to this would be, what the total burden would be, actually have a discussion about it, and lead the country in something that should be done everywhere. People should have the right to own their own homes free and clear, including a state tax burden, local tax burden. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Anyone else here to speak on this item? All right, let's get a motion. We can move into discussion then. And the motion is to set a date of second reading for Tuesday, February 8th.
So move, Sale.
Second, Brecky.
All right, motion by Sale, seconded by Councilor Brecky. Discussion on
Mr.
this
Mayor.
item? Councilor Erickson, go ahead.
Thank you. Question for the sponsor. I love the concept. I think this is fabulous. It's a move in the right direction. I'm also appreciative that there is a bill on the table to adjust those amounts too. I'm wondering if there is a way that we can amend this maybe at second reading to say, refer to whatever the law is and say, so if it's ever adjusted in the future, then we don't have to keep passing something. It just automatically refers back to that law, and whatever those thresholds are, we can just continue to adjust it. So then we don't have to wait the 21 days. We don't have to wait for it to go into law. It's just all automatically done. I know we've done things like this over my 8 years. I just didn't know if it would maybe be viewed as a friendly amendment and or if that's something that we can have our city attorney look into doing, if we can just have it referred back to that law and that threshold would just already exist.
Thank you for the question, Councilor Erickson. Something that has been discussed, but at this time, my understanding is it's not passed yet through the state legislature or been signed by the governor. And so it's been such a long time since they've updated this. And we started this process, like I say, almost a year ago. Now, if that's something that can be adopted, I would certainly be interested in looking at it because we do have to appropriate the money every year. So if the state's qualifications went up, we could certainly go right along with them. I think that's the right thing to do. I would say we can make that adoption after the state makes a adjustment. But thank you for your input. We have Jim David who would like to make a statement on that, being our legislative guy.
Just to clarify, it actually already, if you look at section 5, it references SDCL 10-6A-2, the tentative schedule. So it already references that part of statute. So if they do amend it, and how they engross that bill, it may not need to be amended. So we're trying our best to refer to that section of statute that currently references the schedule. So I think we might be okay for now, and we'll see what happens. But the other part is, did you set second reading to next week?
15th.
To the 15th.
The
okay.
motion and second were for second reading on February 8th.
Yeah.
Okay, 15th.
So we need to withdraw the motion and.
We can just amend it. Okay. Other discussion? Councilor Neitzer, did you have a discussion?
Couple questions. So it only applies to single family. I assume that's a function of state law. That's not our choice. We can't do twin homes because it's not, the assessment freeze is only for single family.
That's my understanding also.
Okay. Would the payments be one annual check or biannual with each disbursement of property
One
tax
annual
bills?
check.
For up to 500 for your,
Correct.
okay. And then, what does, reading the ordinance, what is the appeals process for?
I'm glad you bring that up, Counselor Neitzer. Section 6 talks of the ordinance, talks about denial, and it actually, there's a process of mailing and calendar dates and everything, but it comes back to the city council. We are the ones that make the determination that if it was a proper denial or not a proper denial. I felt and others felt that it was not something that we wanted to pass off to a board or a committee, that we should make that final determination.
When you say denial, I mean, so you apply, for, somebody would apply to the county for the property tax freeze, and I assume there's a process and it's either approved or denied. So what are we looking at beyond whatever their approval or denial is?
The biggest thing I believe that was brought up would be whether or not they were in arrears for their property tax. Whether or not they'd paid it, because some people say, oh, I paid it on time. Well, that should be a clear-cut yes or no. Now, if you didn't pay it on time because you were in a hospital with diverticulitis, we might make an exception. We would have to do that. But that will lay on our desk to do that.
I see. So we would potentially have the power to approve one that had been denied. So would the county freeze not be in effect for that year, but we would still remit, potentially give them a refund? Is that what you're saying? We could.
Sean, come on, Sean, coming up.
I mean, maybe I just want to be clear what the function is. So.
Essentially, we have two criteria for eligibility. One is that you have to be eligible through the county's and state's tax assessment program. But we layered an additional qualification on top of that, that you have to be not in arrears on your property taxes. That is not a requirement for the property tax freeze. So in that case, they could potentially be eligible for the freeze, but not for our refund. And the purpose of that was, starting it in year 2, if we refunded your taxes and you're not current, then you would not be eligible to continue to receive refunds because you didn't necessarily take the funds that we gave you and utilize that towards your. And that's why the appeals process, we have a process where we will check to see if people are in arrears, give them ample opportunity to make good on their, making sure they're paid before, try to avoid having the people coming in to appeal them for any reason. So we try to make it a good process and try to avoid having to have them come forward.
Thank you. That helps clear that up. So the arrears issue, that's ours. That's not the property tax, the state program. I get that. I was thinking I had one other question, but so potentially, even if the other question I just thought of. So if they get in arrears but they catch back up, do they go back on our program? If they're back and they're caught back up on their taxes, they'll start getting checks again?
Yes.
Okay. I'll have to look maybe close at the appeals process. It'll be interesting to see what the verbiage is. It gets a little, and we've run into this with a few other things where that can get a little dicey of subjectively deciding whether or not somebody, whether they were late or, they have some, I'll just have a sob story about, I was in the hospital or whatever else. That gets to be pretty hairy and pretty subjective. So I don't know that I would kill it over that, but that would give me some consternation if it's not very much a black or white, you made it or you didn't. I mean, that's kind of like filing like the owner occ. I mean, you don't get like a I was sick provision, so.
Can I make a comment on that?
Please.
So we thought about that as well, and if you look at the language that we put in there, it stipulates that essentially you have 30 days from the date that we deem that your property taxes are not paid. You have, from that notice date, you have 30 days to take corrective action to pay your property taxes, and if that occurs, then you become eligible again. We put language in there specifically that says, at no time will you be deemed eligible if you do not make corrective action by that date. So the idea of that was to try to provide a clear guideline that, you're going to be given ample opportunity to make good. I will tell you, in process-wise, we've talked about this, even though it stipulates an ordinance that we will put a letter to them by the last day of January, and then they'll have 30 days in which to cure from the date of that letter. Our intent is we'll be able to have that list long before that, after October 31st. As a finance department, we're going to be keying all those addresses in, seeing who is in arrears, and we're probably going to give them a letter before the required letter to really give them even ample opportunity. So if we know that they're coming forward, it's going to be easier for us because then we'll be able to see which ones are corrected quicker, and then the actual letter going out in January will be official. So we intend to give them actually several months' notice to be able to take corrective action.
I'll just finish with, you're matching kind of what I was reading. I was reading that it was kind of a shall, that we didn't have a lot of discretion. I mean, they either hit the date, that 30 days, or they don't. And short of us just deciding, which I suppose we could, to vote and violate the ordinance, it pretty much stipulates a hard date you have to meet, no ifs, ands, or buts. Okay, thanks.
All right, are there other questions on this?
Mr. Mayor,
Sale?
I made an error on when I made the motion. If I, courtesy from the second, if I could make it so that it was February 15th.
Sure.
For the second reading.
Sure, so you can go, you want to withdraw your original motion?
I'll withdraw my original motion with consent of the second and make it February 15th.
Okay, so
I second the withdrawal.
all right, so the motion on the floor now is to set a date of second reading for Tuesday, February 15, seconded by Councilor Brecky.
Thank you.
All right, you bet. Any final discussion here on that? All right, let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. Next item, please.
Item 52 is a resolution advising and giving consent to the appointment of members to certain citizen boards, those being Liz Wheeler to the Board of Health, to the Board of Historic Preservation, Delia Drewley, Alex Hallback, and Lynn Remmers, to City Naming Committee, Jessica Mundall, to Falls Community Health Center Governing Board, Kristen Coble, to Washington Pavilion Board of Trustees, Carrie Teagan, Zoning Board of Adjustment, Jesse Morris.
All right, any of those folks here tonight? By chance, not seeing any, look for a motion then to approve these folks to those boards.
So moved. Sale.
Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Sale, seconded by Jensen. And is there any public input on this one? All right, seeing none. Any discussion here, council? All right, let's vote on it, please.
Council members Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg? Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
All right, that passes 8-0. Next item, please.
Item 53 is notice of transfer of appropriations on the memorandum dated December 30th, 2021. Item 54 is a notice of transfer of appropriations on the memorandum dated January 1st, 2022.
All right, no action needed on those last two items. Any new business here, council? All right, we're going to move to public input. 3 minutes per person, and on items we didn't talk about earlier tonight. Does anyone have any general public input tonight? Good evening.
Greetings. I'm David Zokaitis, and I'm here to talk about how to use handcuffs safely. The current design of modern handcuffs is on the rough side, shall we say. Small piece of metal tied against your wrist. It's kind of risky. And I'm recommending that we redesign them with padding, a pressure sensor, and a lot. We've talked about this before, and there's notes to my previous presentation. One thing that police use handcuffs for sometimes is what they call pain compliance. You put some tight piece of metal on somebody's arm and yank them around a little bit, and they'll move for you. But there's risk of physical injury and emotional trauma with this practice. Maybe they should be more patient and be a little more gentle to people. Related to that, we can define assault, and according to state law, as an attempt to cause bodily injury. So if you use handcuffs to yank somebody around and cause injury, that could legally be called assault. And when it happens, you should blame the people who say that's okay, which would be the politicians, not the people doing it. The
police. If the government's not careful and you anchor on too many risks, you'll end up with an excessive force lawsuit. And there's one that you can see there. I happen to know a little woman who was arrested after she had a mental health crisis and the police were called. She was extraordinarily compliant, but injured with handcuffs. Put them on too tight, that's all you got to do. 3 months later, she still got a problem. Oh, and that's a bad way to deal with a mental health crisis. I know another woman, her name is Carrie. She wasn't very happy when she was arrested, and she was, shall we say, mistreated along the way, and she had neuropathy for about 3 or 4 months due to overly tight handcuffs. She managed to send me some photographs. There's the lacerations on her wrist, and there's the banged up knee. You can tell by the color there of the bruises that this is quite a while after the injury. As is normal, I have some recommendations as to how we could fix some of these problems. We can change police procedures so that they check to make sure the handcuffs are not too tight. We can check arrestees at the jail and make sure that they weren't injured. And if they were injured, we should be able to check the body camera video to see what happened. Well, no body cameras yet, so that's a problem. More recommendations, better handcuffs, caring about people. These would be worth checking out. They're commercially available. And of course, you have to enjoy life. There you go.
All
And
right.
Good evening, everybody.
Thank you. Anyone else for general public input tonight? Come on up.
Now, I clarified, and news media here doesn't.
State your name.
Sierra Broussard, Sioux Falls. I want to clarify something to the news media here and to the Ordinance leader. I did contact and was in the state attorney's office today, and it is being, the violations is being brought forth to the Attorney General's office, which is the entity of the committee board. So an attorney in the Attorney General's office will oversee, look through the materials, get a hearing done that consists of 5 state attorneys. So we have 2 open meetings violations, and I want the media to understand that we just got it from the state attorney's office. 2. So government violated their own city ordinance. How stupid is that, right? So then they can get a hefty fine. So the 5 state attorneys will come and look this over on these 2 open meeting violations, which I have no reason in doubt that they're going to come back with another saying that this was open meetings violation, and they could get a hefty fine. I want all of y'all that's laughing up here to understand, I don't care if it's a city or state charge. Ethics is an ethics. It's going to look bad on the mayor when he's running for next election. It looks bad on every single council member that broke their own city ordinance. We have a city ordinance in place for a reason. Do not believe nobody. Believe everything that's coming through my mouth, because some of y'all sat here and said that we didn't do nothing wrong. We didn't do nothing wrong. Look what y'all didn't do wrong.
Can you keep your decorum?
From the state attorney's office, look.
Calm down.
Look. Look at this, from the state attorney's office. That the mayor decided not to give none of you council members the verdict, but I gave it to every single one of you. So it doesn't look good, does it? It doesn't look good, and I don't care if the mayor sits and laughs, it's gonna hurt him in his election. And I'm gonna speak about this case every Tuesday because it was done on broadcast and live TV. Live TV. This was done. The state attorney's office said that there was no state charges. But it comes back and says they sure violated the city statute. So then the committee board is gonna decide, and then they can hammer down on the city. And I know some council members are laughing up here, but when they come to that election day too, I'll make sure that they were placed out of that seat. Because I'm telling you right now, you got violated. So when you go home, you think about how you cannot silence people no more.
All right, anyone else for general public input tonight? Mics appear to be working really well. Come on up. Good evening, ma'am.
Hi. To say the least, I'm a little intimidated now.
You don't be, and you don't have to scream. We're just here to talk.
I appreciate you taking the time to hear my concern. Mine actually was already kind of addressed by you, recognizing the fact that they're elderly and the disabled are struggling.
Can you state your name, ma'am?
Carol Gary.
Carol, all right. Go ahead,
Sorry.
Carol. No problem.
I'm a retired nurse, so this is real foreign to me, so bear with me. I have worked with one of your councilmen, Greg Neitzert, and he has been awesome and listening. I've worked for this for about a year now, so it's been a journey. My concern is the water charges and billing for mobile home parks. There are 3 different kinds of billing that they do. One is each one has a meter, which is great, city meter. So the other one is what they call acuity, and that is you have the entire bill is given to the park, and then they determine one person lives in the home, their bill is $30, whatever. The other one is they take the whole park and divide it equally between. So what I'm saying is, I think there was an advertisement for one of the parks that said, we have city utilities and you pay for what you use. The problem with the one that is divided with everyone, I own a home and it's 4 bedrooms at foyer, and I'm retired, I'm single. My bill is $17 to $25 a month. One disabled person living in one of the places here, her bill, $70 a month. And you've already said that, there's been an increase of 30%. That's what this bill, they're paying rent, and the increases in the rent and the increase in the water bill is 30% in the last 2 years. And so the people have been wonderful. I get sent from one person to the next person to the next person. You are absolutely right. We sympathize. It isn't right, it isn't correct, but I can't help you. And oftentimes I've been directed to one, to the next, and then I'm directed back to the original one. So to say the least, it's been a challenge. Your water department people have been fabulous. Everyone has been helpful. The managers of the parks that are, I'm running out of time. Parks have been great, but they all agree. Something needs to be done. This is not fair. So next time I'll have all my little things.
Sounds good. Use. Come on back anytime. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
You bet. Come on up, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Chad Bishop. I live at 7405 South Valencia Drive here in Sioux Falls. In the Lancet, Volume 22, Issue 1, published the 1st of this year. Given the evidence of immunity from previous SARS-CoV-2 infection, however, policymakers should consider recovery from previous SARS-CoV-2 infection equal to immunity from vaccination for purposes related to entry to public events, businesses, and the workplace or travel requirements. I continue to advocate for the policies as I have in prior statements surrounding natural immunity. What should we make of a report by Reuters citing the CDC's January 19th MMWR report, which states, and I quote, importantly, infection-derived protection was greater after the highly transmissible Delta variant became predominant, coinciding with an earlier declining of vaccine-induced immunity in many persons, specifically greater than vaccine-induced immunity. So 5 months after the Israeli government published the largest study to date stating the risk of vaccine breakthrough Delta case was 13-fold higher than the risk of developing a second infection, it seems the CDC has finally caught up. With that said, I feel a bit dishonest talking about this report in this way because I understand that these statements are in terms of relative risk reduction as opposed to absolute risk reduction. For example, the CDC said the converse was true when claiming a 2.34x times advantage to the vaccinated when citing the Kentucky study. This can be viewed in the previously mentioned report's figure. Please note the significant difference between the risk associated with being vaccinated, unvaccinated, the absolute risk reduction, and the negligible difference between those who are vaccinated and recovered, the relative risk reduction. You can't really see the difference between the lines on the bottom because there's very little. The difference from here to here versus here to here, this is where they play the game in these statements. The point is made in the Lancet article entitled COVID-19 Vaccine Efficacy, Effectiveness, the Elephant Not in the Room, where they attempt to explain why this is done in vaccine studies. ARRs tend to be ignored because they give a much less impressive effect size than RRRs. Why does this matter? Because the ethical decision is made to argue for vaccination, much less a mandate. It considers the absolute risk reduction from the unvaccinated state to the vaccinated state. The net benefit to a recovered person is negligible, and the latest data could be interpreted as zero. Now weigh that against the potential harm, especially for those under 40 who are healthy and recovered. Recalculate this risk again for children. Again, is it reasonable to ask, should we have been screening for prior infection the entire time? The cost is negligible. We printed $4.5 trillion in the last year. The details in the following data are provided, the sources being the Department of Health. I encourage you to review them. So 2.3% reinfection rates over 22 months in South Dakota compared to 14.6% breakthrough rates for the fully vaccinated in the last 8 months. Thank you.
Thanks, Chad. Anyone else for general public input tonight? All right, look for a motion to adjourn us out.
So moved, Jensen.
Second.
All right, motion by Jensen, seconded by Sale. All those in favor say yes.
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 All right, all opposed? All right, hearing none, that passes. We are adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.